Hi there. So, I know it's late. It's like 11:30 on a Saturday night. Whoever's coming on, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and Shabbat if you celebrated. So today is my brother's yard site, which means it's his Jewish memorial. And this one's for you, Nerik, in memory of Neria ben Sophia Sonia, who's my brother, and Menashe ben Yeshua, who's also my grandfather, and Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes, who also tonight is his yard site. Tonight is a special night. It's called Pesach Sheni. That means 1 month after Passover. Hi, everyone who's coming in. So 1 month after Passover, the people who couldn't donate, who couldn't give the offering to God, they gave it 1 month later on this night. So the topic of tonight is grief and my experience with it. So this one's for all of you who are maybe going through something really sad and painful. And I just wanted to tell you, you're not alone, and you're gonna get through it, okay? So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story. According to the definition on Google, that I Googled, the definition of grief means deep sorrow, especially that's caused by someone's death. And it's normal, it's natural, it's a natural reaction to losing someone. And you know, my husband's like, don't talk about grief. He lost a brother also and a mother. And he's like, don't talk about something really sad. People don't want to hear sad. I said, you know, maybe people don't want to hear sad, but people need to know that's not the only way to live. It's not about just being sad about the things that happened to you. It's about transforming yourself from those things. You know, like you're going through something really painful and hard. People don't like to talk about it because it's painful and it's hard. And I'm not going to tell you how to grieve if you're grieving. I'm just going to tell you what I experienced and my story, a little bit, not too much. For those of you who know somebody who's grieving, please don't be scared. I know after I lost my brother, everybody was scared to talk to me and scared to say his name and scared, you know, I was a little bit scared to say his name to my parents also because nobody wants to cause pain, right? No one wants to hurt other people with the memory of a loss. But more importantly than that, the people who lost somebody, they want to know that person's remembered. They want to know that he's not forgotten. This is why we light a candle, which I lit. See? My kids lit with me too. I made sure they remember him too. So if you remember someone lost, send them something like a text or talk to them and tell them, you know, I thought about him today and I remember how funny he was. My brother was always very comical. He went through a lot in his life and he was very sick for a long time, and he always laughed. It was very weird. He was a very funny guy. He was always finding humor in strange things. So it's a little hard for me to talk because it's like it happened 9 years ago, but it's a deep, you know, if anyone's suffering from grief, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter if it happened 9 years ago or 9 days ago or 90 years ago. It always feels like it happened yesterday, right? Because when you think about it, it's like it happened yesterday. That's the power of your thoughts. Okay, so let's begin. If you aren't transformed by grief, you will transmit it. I heard that somewhere, and it was very profound for me because I thought about that. In the beginning, I did transmit it. I was always very angry and I was dealing with grief my own way. You know, I was like, why did this happen? It's not fair. I'm very upset, you know, that I don't have him in my life, in our life anymore. And I'm so sorry, Jules, that your father died 3 weeks ago. You know, the pain, she's writing, I don't think the pain will ever go away. So, time does heal, but not completely, ever. You know, and I think that's a little bit of a gift to know that his memory is always with you, because if time really healed, that means you would have forgotten him. So you'll never forget him. And that's part of the process of grieving, because it is painful. It's so painful. But this is not a story of pain. I want to really talk about the power of my story in recognizing what happened with my brother after he passed away. I was in school. I was in the surgical rotation at York, not Yeshiva University. I already left that place, but at York. And so it was the hardest rotation of my career in school, and I was very miserable and scared. So on the 28th day after he died, I woke up. I had no idea about the dream that I had of him, and I went to the bus stop and I opened my Tehillim, which is my Psalms, because that helped me. I was reading a lot of that, and all of a sudden when I said his name, like his memory popped up in my head, and you know what happened? I started crying because I had this closeness with him. I felt so close, and I couldn't understand why. And then all the dream, like the whole dream, just rushed into my head in that very moment. I was on the bus sitting there reading, and then I just started crying. And I thought, by the way, that's the thing with grief. It has no concern about where you are. You could be at a wedding, you could be at a funeral, you could be at a PTA, you could be in the OR. No one cares. It just comes. It could be a whisper or it could be a storm. It just comes. But the important thing is, don't wear an umbrella. Let it wash over you. Let the rain, feel it, you know, be present in that moment. That is part of feeling that person's memory in your life, and working through that emotion. You know, I'm not a grief counselor, guys. I'm just telling you my experience. So this dream, I hope this gives you comfort, because it gives me comfort every single time I feel sorrow. It gives me comfort to think of this. So in this dream, it was beautiful. There was this beautiful white environment. It was like sand, but it wasn't grainy, and there was like sunlight, but there was no sun, if that makes any sense. And I see my brother, and he was so beautiful. He was wearing white, and I was so happy because I found him. And I told him, I found you. I mean, we all thought you died. We're so miserable, and we're so sad, and I'm trying to pull him with me, and he's so calm. He's so beautiful. He has this glow. And he's, you know, obviously he's pulling me back, he's pushing me away. And he's not talking with his mouth, he's talking, like, I understand what he's saying, but not with his words. And he says to me, not with his words, just I understand him. He says, no, I'm not going. And I said, are you kidding me? Like twice? Twice you're gonna leave me? Like, it's not enough I have to deal with the pain that you left me before, and now again you're not coming back? I know now that you're alive and you're not coming with me? And every which way I try to convince him, I'm trying to persuade him, and he doesn't bite, you know, because he's not going. And I tell him, how could you do this? How could you leave us? And you know what? He says, I'm sorry, I can't go with you. But know this, I am always right here. And he touches my shoulder, and I look, and I feel it. I feel it. And that is the feeling I felt every single time I have ever felt him in my life, wherever I was. And I turn around, and I feel like it's him, but it's not. Obviously, there's nobody there. But he's there. I feel it. And you know, have you ever felt like that? Like you can sense somebody's there, but... or you feel them, but on a spiritual level, not on a physical level, and they're there, you know? That's how I felt. And it gave me such comfort, because I knew he said to me, I'm right next to you. Don't think I'm so far away. Don't think I disappeared. I am right here, right next to you. Just turn, just think of me, just look at me, and I'm right next to you. So that when that dream was over, that same day, my grandmother passed away. And that was the strength my whole family needed when I told them this story. I remember to my dad, I told him when we were driving to the funeral, and I said, you know, Pa, it was his mom. I said, Papa, it's really painful what we're going through, because we were reliving that whole thing twice in 1 month. It was the same cemetery, it was the same grave almost, it was the same, the same Schwartz brothers or wherever it was. Everything was so the same. It was like reliving the wound twice in 1 month. And I said, you know, he's happy. He's okay. And the people who left us, they are doing better. Jules, it's been 9 years for me. You're saying that she can't, I'm so strong for talking about this. I had to mentally prepare for myself to do this. But I'm doing it for the people who are also grieving, you know. It's not just because I want to talk about this. It's meaningful for me to also mention his name and live. And when we feel pain, we have to transform ourselves with it. We have to place it in some way, meaningfulness. There has to be meaning from this so that we can grow from it. So for me, the meaning is sharing for other people not to feel this pain, that they're not to feel alone. I hope that makes sense for you guys. I didn't really prepare this speech or whatever. I just, there's no way really to prepare because this it just comes out however it wants to come out. Anyway, so like I said, time heals. I'm healing every day. But you know, there's always a piece of me that wishes, you know, he was still here and things were different. But I don't see the whole picture. I get this this booklet every month. It's called Our Tapestry. It's made by grieving moms. It talks about their grief with their children, and they share other people's stories. And the reason it's called Our Tapestry, or tapestry, I don't know how to pronounce that word, is because the front of a tapestry always looks very beautiful, and every stitch has a beautiful view of the whole picture. It makes sense. That is not our view of life. We see the back end of that tapestry. That's the whole point of that booklet's title. We see the cut pieces, the beautiful gold string that's been cut so short. And we're just wondering, how come this ugly string keeps threading and this beautiful string is already gone? It's kind of like when you miss somebody you love, that one day you're hoping to have with you forever is gone before you expected even to have that experience with them. But what does God see, and what do we see after we're done? I believe after this world is done, we see the whole tapestry. We see the real image, the other side, the whole picture. Now we just have a very narrow view, and it's painful because we just have to have faith that this is what God wants for us, and this is our lesson, to have faith. So I love you all, and have a wonderful night. I hope that this live kind of touched you, if it was meant to touch you, and have a wonderful, blessed night. Have a great night. Bye.